Gary Williams here. Some friends of mine are making a difference in the community, and one of the ways they're doing that is helping to sponsor this podcast. Petrocelli Homes Realty Group is a boutique brokerage service located in downtown Niles. They offer a personal and intentional touch to the home buying and selling market. They take the time to learn each client's story, much like this podcast, because to them, the first step in linking buyers to the home of their dreams starts with understanding and a great deal of trust. John and Jennifer Petrocelli have had the honor of helping countless buyers and sellers make effective real estate decisions to plant their roots, raise their families, expand their wealth, or simply relax and retire. So if what I've described is what you might be looking for in a realtor, I suggest getting in touch with Petrocelli Homes on Niles Boulevard in downtown Niles. Now, coming to you straight from Fremont, California, this is the Fremont Podcast, dedicated to telling the stories of the past and present of the people and places of the city of Fremont, one conversation at a time. Now, here's your host, Ricky B.
Hello, Fremont. You are listening to episode number 9 of the Fremont Podcast. Well, we've done it again. Fremont has been ranked the number 1 happiest city in America for the second year in a row. In 2021, Wallet Hub named Fremont the happiest city in America. And once again, a new poll has come out that says that Fremont is still the happiest city in America. What do you think about that? Well, here's one person's memory of what it was like growing up here in Fremont that might give a little insight into what that means to them.
I have a lot of really fond memories of Fremont. Two in particular that stand out to me are the fireworks at Lake Elizabeth. So way back in the day, on the 4th of July, Lake Elizabeth actually used to put on a full firework display. So we would bring our blankets and lay on the ground and watch them, and it was something we really looked forward to every year. And then a real throwback is Big Daddy's. Have you heard of Big Daddy's?
No, Big Daddy's?
So Big Daddy's was a restaurant on the corner of Niles Canyon in that empty lot right when you're pulling into Niles Canyon.
Really?
There used to be a restaurant there called Big Daddy's. It was like a burger joint. And we would go there for their soft serve ice cream and just watch the cars go by, and it just has that nostalgic feel to it. And so, those two things really stand out to me as special memories of being here in Fremont.
Wow. Yeah. And now you're here able to help other people make their own memories.
Yes.
That's great. That was Jennifer Petrocelli of Petrocelli Homes. If you think that you've heard that name before, you probably have if you've listened to the most recent episodes of the Fremont Podcast. Petrocelli Homes is the official sponsor of the Fremont Podcast. And today I get the privilege of having Jennifer Petrocelli on the podcast, having a conversation of what it's like for her to grow up here in Fremont, in the happiest city in America, and what it's like now for her and her father to work together at helping other people make their real estate dreams come true. They have lived here their whole lives, and now they are in the business of helping other people establish their lives right here in Fremont. It is my privilege to have Jennifer Petrocelli on the podcast today, and I know that you'll enjoy hearing a little of her story and hear about what Petrocelli Homes can do to help make Fremont the happiest city in America. Well, today I am with Jennifer Petrocelli, and she is one of the two that run Petrocelli Homes, and I'm going to let her tell a little bit about the business, but she is the business, the office is located in Niles. And it's just a beautiful little location. We're here right now, and love all that they've done here. So hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing so good.
Good. Well, I'm so glad to have you here. And
thank you for having me.
You know, before we do anything else, I have to say that you've supported the Fremont Podcast so much recently, and we've only been going for a few weeks, but you have started by supporting it through social media, and then even recently became our sponsor.
Yes.
So I'm so excited to have you guys as part of the Fremont Podcast family.
Yes, we're happy to be a part of it. We love what you're doing, and any way that we can help and support and keep you growing, we are all for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you very much. Well, I want to hear a little bit about Petrocelli Homes. I mean, one of the things that I think about when I think of what our podcast represents here in the city is a place that we call home. It's a place that that people live. They raise families here. It's special to people, and I don't think anything else says special home like an actual home.
Yeah. Yes.
So I love that you're here and that you've grown up in the Fremont area.
Yeah.
And I just think that's great. So give me a little bit of history of your personal history. Where how did Petrocelli Homes come about, and how long have you been here? Tell me a little bit about your life.
Yeah. So Petrocelli Homes is actually a family-owned business. It's my dad is the broker. His name is John Petrocelli, and me. We have a couple of other agents on our team also. So we consider ourselves a small family boutique brokerage. Going all the way back, I guess, to my dad. He grew up in Mission San Jose, so he actually grew up in Fremont.
Okay.
So he has been here his whole life. As an adult, he moved to Union City, so not too far.
Yep.
And that's where I was raised. So we have been in the area, our whole lives.
Wow.
Growing up, my dad actually owned a construction company called Petrocelli Construction. And so I remember as a little girl really going to the job sites with him and seeing homes being built from the ground up. It was a custom home building business.
Okay.
So I've been around homes my whole life. My dad's really been in it most of his life.
Wow.
And then in 2004 is when my dad kind of organically walked into real estate from there. And it was really with his encouragement that led me to discovering the career for myself in 2012.
Okay.
So it kind of all, domino affected.
Yeah.
And then in 2016, we decided, hey, we could do this together. And that's when we opened Petrocelli Homes as our own brokerage. Kind of branched away from the bigger, big box guys.
Yeah.
And started our own thing in 2016. And people often say oh, how do you work with your dad? How is that? But I find that we work together so well. I feel like our strengths and weaknesses really complement each other, and we just really work as a really good team together.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really great. Did you ever, were you ever involved, or did you spend much time on the job site when you were a kid? I mean, do you have any memories of that?
Yeah, I remember going so we had a dog at the time named Harley, and me and Harley would always go with my dad, and he would kind of be like, watch your step, because it was in the framing stages.
Oh yeah, nails everywhere.
And it's interesting to see you walk in a home when it's being framed and you're like, what is this? But then walls go up and you're like, oh, here's the kitchen, here's the living room. And it kind of takes its own form.
Yeah.
And so, I have just distinct memories of him pointing out how this works. Okay, this is where the electrical is going to go, and that kind of thing. And so that really, lends itself a hand in real estate.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that when someone's trying to buy a house, they really want someone they can trust to be able to tell you about the house, the things that they see. And I think having the experience of construction, building houses from the ground up, would kind of lend itself. So I'm curious, have you guys sold any homes that your dad built? I'm just
actually, he had built a couple of homes in the neighborhood we grew up in.
Oh, okay.
So he has, and he has helped people buy lots and lands and build custom homes there. So we've done it all. Wow,
that's great. I love that history, and I love the fact that you and your dad worked together so well.
Yes,
that's really, really, really neat. So. if you lived, your dad grew up in Mission San Jose,
Yeah.
and then you moved to Union City, which is where you were born and
Yeah.
grew up.
Yep.
So why did you choose Niles for your office, your brick and mortar location?
Yeah, so growing up in Union City, we actually were just one stoplight down from Fremont.
Missed it by a stoplight.
Yeah, so we were 5 minutes from Niles, really.
Okay.
And so Niles was somewhere growing up where we would come for the holiday parades and the different events that they had downtown. And so it already was kind of a special place for our family. And it had this small town charm that really resonated with us. And so when we talked about opening our brokerage and opening an actual location, because we were like, okay, if we're going to do this, we need an office. Niles was our first thought, just because it had that small town charm.
Yeah.
So when we looked down here, we actually looked at a building that was down by the ice cream shop.
Okay.
And we went back and forth with that building for quite some time with the landlord. It didn't quite have the window presence that we wanted because we had a vision of hanging, flyers in the windows and having, a display where people could walk by and really see what the market was doing. And so that building didn't work out.
Yeah.
And at the time we were like, oh no, but it was a blessing in disguise for us because then this building, came up. We love our landlord. We love where we are. We love the location. We have nobody across from us, so we have the perfect view of the hills with the Nile sign. And so, we're really happy to be in Niles, and we feel blessed to be in Niles. And when we created the space here, we really wanted it to have that small town charm feel where you walk in and it's intimate and it feels like, you're talking with someone in a living room and chit-chatting about your home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it is beautiful here. I know when I first walked in, I think I came in here a couple of weeks ago for the first time, and I just fell in love with it. It's decorated well, and I think everything is placed really nicely. It's definitely an inspiration for anybody buying a house.
Yeah. We didn't want it to have a cold office feel for our clients and our agents.
Yeah.
We wanted everyone to feel kind of welcomed in.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. It seems that the desire that you have for people in finding houses kind of like permeates, kind of influences everything that you guys do. Which
it really does.
Is great.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's great. So I'm curious for you. Your dad was in construction and new housing, and then as you got into real estate, what do you love most about real estate? Like, personally, I mean, what's your favorite part about the job?
I think in real estate, everybody's story is different. Everybody's why I'm selling a home or buying a home is unique to them. And I think that that's really special. Being able to meet so many people and learn their specific story, and then also just being able to be a part of a huge milestone in someone's life, we don't take that lightly. It is an honor.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it can be a stressful and emotional time for people and also for us, right?
Yeah.
Negotiating and making phone calls, it can be thrilling. So there's a lot of ups and downs, but just really walking people through, guiding them to the end, to the point where we're handing over the keys, for them to start the next chapter of their life, really to make memories in that home is something that I really love. One thing that I specifically like is some of my clients will invite me back to their homes months after they've kind of moved in.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see how they transformed it, whether it was like paint or a remodel or even just moving their furniture and their style into the space. Turning it from a house to a home is I'm always like, oh, I love it. It's just it's special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great. And you, as you are interacting with people, and like you said, you like hearing their stories.
Yeah.
You get a chance to be a part of that story.
Yes.
And I think that that's something that is just a beautiful thing.
It is.
It's a beautiful thing, especially having grown up here. Fremont was very different as your dad was growing up and as you were growing up, and then just being able to kind of like maybe carry over a little of that charm and a little of that nostalgia for people as well.
Right. We do sell houses, but we are also, matchmakers.
I like that.
It's about learning who they are and matching them with that home. And although real estate, there are offers that don't get accepted and whatnot, the right home always comes.
That's great.
It always does.
Yeah.
And we encourage our clients like that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of clear already just from the conversation we've had. But I'm curious if you'd add anything else. What sets you apart from, what do you like when I think of real estate agents? There's a lot of big names that come to mind, and I know that you alluded to that just a minute ago. But what comes to mind for you that really sets you apart, that makes you unique and special? Maybe apart from some of the stuff that you've already said.
Yeah. Well, I guess going back to the construction background, not all agents, I feel, are looking at a home, of the bones of the home. They're like, oh, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home kind of thing.
Yeah.
And although we do look at those things, we see past that. And we are known to kind of share our insight with clients on potential issues, whether it's, foundation sloping or something that may not be just visible to the eye right away. So I think that background really sets us apart compared to other agents. Also learning their story and just that whole thing that I kind of just explained.
Yeah, right.
But I've also been told by many clients that they chose to work with me because I'm not pushy. So we aren't your typical sales agent who's just looking to close a deal. Whether it's 2 months or 2 years, we're there to kind of walk you through the process. And I think that's hard to find sometimes because people have this notion of realtors as like very pushy, right? And so we're there on your timeline, whether you are selling your home or buying it, it doesn't matter. And then also I think something that sets us apart is our communication. We always answer our phone and we're very transparent. So we don't sugarcoat things. We will tell you like it is, but we're also sentimental to it. And so, I think that those things kind of set us apart from just your standard real estate agent.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you feel like there's a specific clientele? This might be, I don't want to stereotype clients, but is there a certain type of clientele that you feel really that you connect well with, that works well with you and kind of the way that you've set up your whole structure and philosophy for your business?
So we actually work with everyone. And I know that sounds really broad because a lot of realtors have a very specific niche. But we work with single people to families to people relocating here in the area to people who have lived here their whole life who are now going to retire and move away, right? And so from buying a 1-bedroom condo to buying a luxury listing, we've worked with all of them. And we don't turn anyone away for any reason. Me in particular, I work with a lot of first-time home buyers and sellers, and so it's the client who doesn't know anything. What am I getting myself into? I have a lot of questions, and I'm there to really hold their hand through the process, answer those questions. My dad really specializes in lots and land sales, and so he's kind of actually known in our industry right now for being the lots and land guy. He's had other agents call him and say, hey, I have this lot for sale. I don't know what to do. And really just, helping clients, whether it's big or small, we help them all.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so it's a little bit puzzling to me because your dad's not here right now.
Yeah.
And so he's late for work, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, he actually, he's either, if he's on his way, he's got quite a drive because he lives in Idaho, right?
Yeah, he is in Idaho.
Wow. So, how does that work? Your dad's the broker and he was here, but now he lives in Idaho.
Yeah.
But you also, at least on your website, you are both real estate agent for the Bay Area as well as the Boise, Idaho area. So tell me a little bit about that. Tell me about that dynamic.
Yeah. So we had several clients moving to Boise, Idaho over the last few years. One of them being my best friend and her family. And so I had gone and visited quite a few times, and my dad had gone and visited quite a few times, and we were referring people to agents out there. And after visiting, we just kind of fell in love with it. And my dad often will say it reminds him of the Bay Area 30 years ago before it was developed. And so that it had that kind of tug on him because he never ever envisioned himself leaving here. And so that kind of is what got us to connect over there. And then in 2020, my dad decided, I think I'm going to do it. And so he sold his home, my childhood home here in the Bay Area. That was a really emotional sale for us because we were the ones who sold it, you know? Wow. And so that was hard, but now he's out there, and we kind of consider both states home now.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he's there. He's the broker of record. We're both licensed in both states. And I'm here running our Fremont branch and agents, and he's there really running our Idaho branch and growing our agents out there. So it works. He's always just a phone call away. I call him all the time when I have questions. Our agents are, welcome to call him anytime. And so, he's still very, very much involved, whether he's here in person or on a FaceTime call.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I do know, and not that we, part of the hope of this podcast is to help people to look around them in the city and say, there's so much more to know and discover and to love that's right here around us. But we do also know that, people retire or people need to move. Right. And it does seem like there's a considerable amount of people that consider Idaho as an option. Yeah. So I would imagine that works out well too. You might help somebody sell a home here in the Bay Area and then help them find a home in Idaho. Yeah. Well,
it works out. It works out well, so we get to be a part of their whole journey. And my dad had gone through the relocation process himself, so we have a little bit of insight for people, even if they're not moving there. Right. If you're moving somewhere else, we can, guide you on that relocation.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, and this is a time to be able to be in that market too, because with COVID, I know that we've had a lot of companies allowing their employees to work remotely.
Yes.
And so, people who are able to work remotely and want to maybe get out of the Bay Area for the prices or whatever, they can go somewhere else. So that's great.
Yeah.
Well, if you were to fast forward in your mind like 10 years from now, and you were to think about the people in our community, and you were to think about like what you would hope the impact would be that you have in the community, what do you envision for you maybe personally, and then also for Petrocelli Homes?
I want people of Fremont to know that it's still possible to have the American dream of buying a home. I know a lot of people right now feel priced out of the market, and that can be a scary thing, right? But whether it's a small home or a big home, it is still possible in Fremont. And we want to be remembered, or at least I do, as someone who helped you get there with honesty and integrity, to help you reach your dreams and your goals of becoming a homeowner, whether it's now or if it's 10 years from now, right? You have to have that goal and start somewhere. Yeah. We want to be a company really that our clients can turn to for years to come. Whether I helped you buy or sell a home last year, you can call me in 10 years and I will still answer your question, about what you should remodel in your house, or, where that paperwork, was. Wow. So we really want to be the long-term team with our clients and the community.
Yeah. That's really great. How can people find you? How can they locate you? I know we're down on the main Niles Boulevard, downtown Niles, but if they wanted to get in touch with you, or if they had questions about buying a home or anything pertaining to real estate, how can they get a hold of you?
So I think that we're the most present on Instagram. You can find us at Petrocelli Homes. we will post some funny reels and,
You're
helpful.
great at those. I love that.
We'll post helpful tips and tricks, but we aren't just posting real estate stuff. We get that not everyone is ready to buy a home tomorrow. And so we'll also share, things about decorating your house and what to do for your pets and stuff like that.
That's great.
So we're on Instagram. We also are on Facebook at same thing, Petrocelli Homes. We're at Niles Boulevard, down past Joe's Corner is what I always tell people. Just keep going a little farther, and we're down there at the end.
Across the street from the beautiful Flying A.
Oh my goodness. We are so happy with how that all turned out.
Wow.
It's so awesome. They've brought in, such a great feeling and vibe to this side of the street, because it was a little bit lonely down here.
Yeah, it was a little sketchy.
Yeah. So we're really happy. Niles Boulevard, and then also on our website, www.petrocellihomes.com. Really, that's all you got to remember. Petrocelli Homes, look it up, you'll find us.
One other quick question before we wrap it up. Do you share your sourdough bread with your clients when they come?
So I just started my sourdough bread, experience. I've made 3 loaves, and they've each gotten better as I've made them. I have not shared it yet, but I'm known for giving gift baskets out to my clients at the end of their journey. And I like to really make them personal to who they are, but I also include, specific things. And one thing I like to include is homemade jam.
Wow.
I will maybe include a loaf of bread once I perfect it, but I'm not there yet.
I don't think if just simply buying a home doesn't motivate you to come down here. I think that the hope for getting homemade jam and sourdough bread should bring you down here.
Yes, definitely.
That's great. Jennifer, thank you so much for this time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor getting to know you.
You as well. I'm excited to continue a relationship for a long time. And like I told you before, is when I get to a point that this podcast goes viral and I'm able to afford to buy a house in Fremont, you're my agent.
I love it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Fremont Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever it is that you listen so you don't miss an episode. And if you're so inclined, leave a kind review so that others can find the podcast. To stay connected with us, you can find links to our social media and other content at thefremontpodcast.com. This episode was hosted, edited, and produced by Ricky B. Music provided through Soundstripe.com. I'm Gary Williams. Join us next week on the Fremont Podcast.
Muggins Media.